Hey friends, Jessica here from Creators Couture. So in today's tutorial, we are going to make some gorgeous painterly brushstroke inspired roses like you see right here. And we're going to do them actually using 3 Photoshop brushes. And I was going to use this for one of my 3-minute tutorials, but I realized that I don't want to rush through this. It's not much longer than that, but I want to take my time. So first of all, I popped over to Unsplash and I typed in rose and I found this rose here that I liked. Now I increased the size of I just screenshotted it and opened that up in Photoshop. Which is cool is when we're sampling colors, you don't even need to download the image. Just screenshot it, pop it into Photoshop. I upsized it a little bit because I wanted it a little bit bigger. And what else did I do? But we don't have to worry about the image quality because we're simply sampling colors from it. So first of all, I'm going to create my color palettes. And so I'm just going to go over the rose here with my marquee tool and kind of get all of the colors together. And I'm going to go to Edit, Define Pattern up here at the top. But I have a keyboard shortcut, so I'm going to go Edit, Define Pattern, click OK. And then I'm going to get a darker area, focus in on the darker area. And it doesn't matter the size. And I'm going to go Edit, Define Pattern again, click OK, and then maybe find a lighter area for highlights, Edit, Define Pattern, click OK. And I can even sample some colors from the leaves. So I'll just Edit, Define Pattern, click OK, and continue. So you can get some different sample colors from these leaves. And that's nice because I love the colors in this. It's a little bit like not so green, it's a little blue-green. Looks really cool with the matte color scheme on that photograph. And then as you can see here, I've got some kind of a finished little design, a background. You could make an invitation, a social media graphic. So, you can see what we're gonna be doing. I'm gonna pop this over here for reference. And over here, I've got some of the roses that I've made. And as you can see, every time it's different, you can play around, but it really gives you a very artistic feeling rose. And we're not going to be working on our illustration skills here too much. We are going to let Photoshop brushes be doing the work for us. So first off, I'm going to grab my Artistic Autumn brush number 15. And I'm going to grab one of like the general color palettes that I've already selected, I've already made. And I have it here on my tool presets just so I can find it fast. But yeah, it's Artistic Autumn brush number 15. Normally you'll be selecting that from your brush panel. Make sure that you have the pattern stamp tool selected. Grab your brush, Impressionist is checked, and you have your palette selected. And then I'm just going to make a little shape here. I'm not going to worry about it being perfect. I'm just laying down those colors. And I'll change my color palette and maybe put some darker in there. I'll grab a light color palette, throw some lights in there. And I'm really not worried about like creating any kind of particular structure. I'm just trying to add some contrasting areas of light and dark. So that's good. It really doesn't need to even be that like well done or anything. So I'm going to Option and drag my layer to duplicate it. And then that way it's good to have a backup. So with the new layer selected, I'm going to grab my Wet Paint Studio brush number 11. This is a wonderful color blending, color mixing brush. And I'm going to go over to the top left of my screen and make sure that this is unchecked, the first thing, because we don't want any color in our brushes. We're going to use the color and spread it around of our rose. So I'm just going to play around and make some swirls in this rose. And I'm not going to worry about it being perfect, but I'm just blending and kind of swirling. And I like to leave a little bit of the what do you call it? The rough brush strokes underneath showing. So I'm just going to do 2 of them. So you can kind of just see how it will always like look different. But yeah, just kind of playing around with it. Kind of making those little rose things. I think it looks super cool. Love it. Don't need to draw a real rose. I don't have time for that. So, and this is an illustration and it looks like an illustration. So I think that's cool. So above those, I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to go ahead and apply one of my layer styles. So I'm applying Creative Couture Textiles 23. So I'm going to add that to my layer before I even start painting. And I'll just leave that there. And what brush I'm going to be using is my Spring Botanicals brush number 1. And it's a simple pattern brush. So check this out. It's a one color brush. I made this for like, you know, floral vine designs, but it's good to think outside the box. So I'm going to be using that to draw some detail on top of my flower. So on the layer that I've already applied the layer style, I'm just going to take this little brush and kind of follow some of the circular sort of area. And voila, how cool is that? So we're adding some little sparkly highlights onto our rose, and it can be really nice. I think it's super painterly and it looks cool. And so it's good to kind of think outside the box, because I wanted a delicate little thin line, but having those little, you know, the little pattern inside the brush is cool. So, you know, I'm just taking that brush way down in size and using it as an accent brush with the layer style. And that adds the final touches for the flowers. And I think they are really fun. And if you notice over here, I pretty much use the same technique with drawing the leaves. So I had just grabbed the Artistic Autumn Brush 15 and I grabbed one of the greens that I had selected from the plants. And I made some really cool rough leaves like this. And I love, you know, playing around with the color palettes and seeing those gorgeous brush strokes, you know, and the color blending, and, you know, it's very textural, very dimensional, and you can have a lot of fun with that. So I just made right back here, I just made rough leaf shapes and, you know, just piled them behind the thing, and I think that's gorgeous. So still using the same brush, and even I add some little streaky brush strokes, and in that case, I grabbed my wet paint brush 11. This time I clicked over here to make sure that we have the color. And then we're gonna go back to our original image, and I wanna grab some greens from over here. So, but if I option click, it's gonna get way too many colors because this brush is bigger and the image is a small size. So I'm going to left bracket, make my brush smaller, and it won't matter that I take my brush back up afterwards. It's no big deal. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to option click and grab some of that nice like green leafy area. I want that. So let's play around. Just right here is good. That's kind of the area that I'm selecting. So now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to make a new layer, and then I'm going to right bracket to take my, oops, I have to make sure that sample all layers is not selected. So I'm making sure that that's off, and now I have a nice like dimensional brush stroke, but I'm not super happy with that. So you can just play around and, you know, select some. That's okay. These leaves are kind of giving me a slight headache. They're not the best to sample from. That's okay, whatever. Let's see here. I think I've already have it sampled somewhere. There we go. That's, I guess I had originally sampled it from over here. So this is kind of the one that I used like over here, but you know, you just see, so you have some like little brush strokes. I'll put those behind the thing. So I had just made some little brush strokes like this over there, but these ones were a little bit different. And in fact, you could just go over here to your leaf layer, option select, and I get those colors from right there, that's great. And now that's much better. But it's a nice color blending brush because you get those dimensional strokes. And as you can see here, I just threw a couple strokes back there. This isn't really what a rose looks like, but that's not the point. So it's just an artistic flourish and creating some kind of leavish sort of brush strokes that look like leaves. And I don't really care about botanical accuracy. I think it's pretty. And I think it was really easy to create, and it looks, you know, it pops up, it's textural, it's lush, and I think it's a really lovely illustration style. And we let Photoshop brushes do the heavy lifting for us. So we didn't take our brush and, you know, drawing all those. We really just had fun with it. So if you have any questions, let me know down below in the comments and stay tuned for the next video.